Here's the thing no one says out loud about auth migrations: swap your deployment tool wrong and you lose an afternoon. Swap your identity layer wrong and you lose your user's data, maybe your company. Today, 6 self-hostable alternatives that developers are running in production right now, what each one costs you in operational terms, and the category of team that should absolutely not touch any of them.
The push to look started when Auth0 absorbed into Okta's customer identity cloud. The free tier tightened, monthly active user pricing climbed, and teams coasting on a legacy plan suddenly had a real line item. At the same time, these alternatives matured significantly. So the conversation is actually worth having with eyes open about what you're taking on.
6 projects on the board. Keycloak leads at 34.9k stars, Apache licensed, the enterprise standard. Authelia is at 28.1k but plays a completely different position. It's a reverse proxy, not an identity server. Authentik at 22.0k and SuperTokens at 15.1k both carry non-standard licenses, so I'll flag those. ZITADEL and Ory Kratos rounded out, both Go, both actively maintained, cleaner license story.
Before the tool-by-tool breakdown, a category-level reality check. Identity is different from other SaaS swaps because the failure mode is different. A misconfigured database tool gives you wrong data. A misconfigured identity provider gives attackers your entire user base. Auth0 runs anomaly detection, bot protection, and breached password checks silently in the background. None of these 6 projects replicate that out of the box. Know what you're giving up before you move a single user.
Keycloak is the obvious first stop and it earns that position. Red Hat-backed, running in thousands of enterprise deployments, it covers OIDC, SAML 2.0, social login, MFA, and fine-grained authorization out of the box. The Flow Builder lets you compose multi-step authentication sequences, step-up auth, conditional MFA, external identity provider federation. If Auth0's protocol support is what you need, Keycloak matches or exceeds it.
The honest gaps. Keycloak is a Java application. That means JVM memory tuning, clustering for high availability, and a learning curve on an admin console that was clearly designed by people who find acronyms restful. Auth0 actions, JavaScript hooks that fire in the login flow, have no drop-in equivalent. You're rewriting those as Keycloak event listeners or script authenticators. Budget a week per complex flow, not a long weekend.
Here's how community adoption stacks up across all 6. Keycloak's lead is substantial, nearly 35,000 stars and nearly a decade of enterprise deployments behind it. Authelia's 28,000 reflects a different audience, ops engineers protecting self-hosted tool stacks. The rest are newer entrants, all actively maintained and all pushing within the last few days.
Authelia deserves its own frame because it's solving a different problem than everything else on this list. It's not an identity provider that issues tokens to your apps. It's a reverse proxy authentication portal that wraps your existing self-hosted tools, Gitty, Grafana, Nextcloud, anything, and enforces single sign-on and MFA at the edge before requests reach them. If you want one login gate in front of 10 internal tools without modifying any of them, Authelia is the cleanest answer on the market.
Authentik sits between Keycloak's power and a developer-friendly tool. Python-based, with an admin UI that is genuinely less frightening than Keycloak's, a visual flow designer for authentication policies, and built-in support for LDAP, SAML, and OIDC. There is one thing to call out explicitly: the license shows as no assertion in our source data, meaning the automated check could not resolve a standard SPDX identifier. That means source available with additional terms. Read the actual license file before any commercial deployment.
SuperTokens is the structurally different option. Where the others are identity servers you route requests through, SuperTokens ships as a set of backend SDKs that live directly inside your application. Session management, social login, passwordless, MFA, all as recipes you call in your own backend. It feels like a library first and infrastructure second, which appeals to teams who don't want another stateful service to operate. Same license caution as Authentik. No assertion in our data, so verify the current terms before you build.
The 2 Go-native options, ZITADEL and Ory Kratos, share a cloud-native architecture and a low memory footprint compared to the Java projects. The structural difference is all about how much UI you want to build. ZITADEL is a complete identity platform. It has its own admin console, a user portal, and multi-tenancy built into the core data model. Kratos is deliberately headless. It owns the identity state machine and exposes everything as REST APIs, expecting you to build whatever login UI your product requires.
ZITADEL's standout feature is its organization model. If you're building a B2B SaaS product where each customer needs isolated permissions, separate user pools, and independent identity configuration, ZITADEL handles that natively in a way that most of the other tools treat as an afterthought. On the license, HPL 3.0 means self-hosting for your own organization has no complications. Distributing ZITADEL as a component inside a product you sell to customers is where you want a legal read before committing.
Ory Kratos is what you pick when you want total control over the user experience and are willing to build the front end yourself. It manages every identity state, registration, login, account recovery, settings, social sign-in, MFA, and exposes each as a REST API flow. Your front end drives those flows, Kratos enforces the rules. It's the most code-intensive option here and the most flexible. Apache 2.0 means zero license friction for commercial products. If you need Auth0 and OIDC token issuance on top, pair it with Ory Hydra.
Now the part that matters most. Who should stay on Auth0 and not touch any of this? First, and most important, any team that doesn't have an engineer who can own identity security long-term. Auth0's anomaly detection, bot protection, and breached password checks run silently and need no configuration. Dropping them without a deliberate replacement means a concrete regression in your security posture, even if everything else is running fine. Second, regulated organizations with SOC2, HIPAA, or PCI dependencies on Auth0's compliance posture. Third, any B2B product relying heavily on Auth0 organizations, only ZITADEL comes close, and that migration is a multi-sprint project.
If you decide to move, set the password migration strategy before anything else. It's the constraint that determines your timeline. Auth0 passwords are hashed with a proprietary scheme and cannot be exported. Your two options: a phased migration where users get a reset prompt on first login to the new system, or the Auth0 password migration API if you still have access, which migrates hashes on the fly as each user signs in. Get that decision locked before you touch anything else.
That's the 6. The full comparison, live star counts, license status, last push date, and migration notes is at ossfine.com, link in the description. We keep it updated so the numbers you see here don't go stale. If this saved you the research afternoon, subscribe. One deep dive a week, a new tool every day.